Dom.
Are you serious?
Friday nights, 11 till midnight. Indie, local, rock. Dom.
All clear?
97.5 KMOD.
Yeah, this is the Domkcast. Brady, 34 years ago this past week, Metallica ended up firing Dave Mustaine, which I think from the fans' perspective, it worked out pretty good for us because we got two awesome bands out of it. But from Dave Mustaine's perspective, I could see it'd be a little bitter for years and years.
It did for Metallica. It kind of did, but didn't for Dave Mustaine and Megadeth.
Megadeth, I mean, they're obviously not as big as Metallica. No. But I feel like they had their own success in their own right.
Exactly.
And they have a loyal fan base. They're considered one of the big four of thrash metal.
Yes.
Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, and Megadeth.
Uh-huh.
And they're all actually talking about maybe doing a few shows in 2017.
Which I hope they are.
And they've done a few in the past. And correct me if I'm wrong, Brady, but I think some of those shows that they've done in the past years ago, I think we're in like Russia. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
No, anytime soon. I don't think so.
But they're talking about
doing... still going to Russia right now.
Yeah, right, yeah. They don't exactly like us.
No.
No, they're talking about doing a big four thrash metal show in New York City later on this year at Yankee Stadium, which would be pretty awesome. They all have new stuff out right now. Metallica, Anthrax, putting out a new album soon. Megadeth working on some new stuff and going to do some touring with, I think, Body Count. I read that somewhere.
Yes, they
I don't know
are.
if that's still happening.
Body Count's new album is tight.
Yeah.
It is good.
But it all started back in the day, of course, with Metallica. And we were having this debate before we started this podcast. I was under the impression that Dave Mustaine was on Kill 'Em All.
No, he was not.
No,
not at all.
But he wrote some of the songs, seven of the songs.
Yeah. He was one of the original founding members of Metallica. Got together, toured, loved each other, very tight. And then Dave, what had happened was, which they're a band known for drinking so much, they were called Alcoholica. But for some reason, everybody else was a happy drunk, a goofy drunk, but Dave was a pissy, in-your-face, will beat you up and beat you down drunk.
There's always that one in the group.
There always that one guy.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, that's it, enough. We can't do this anymore. Didn't give him any warning. Just woke him up one morning, which he was hungover that night, said, get your stuff, get up, get out, you're out of the band. And he's like, what? He's like, yep, your bus leaves in an hour. Didn't give him a plane ticket, didn't give him nothing. So he's like, I've been with this band for so long, founding member, wrote songs, and you kick me out without even warning? Drove him to the bus, got there, and was pissed. So he said, I think what he said was, he was on the bus going back home, and he had an idea for a song in his head. He didn't have any paper to write it down on, so he had this pamphlet from some senator or congressman about something that said nuclear warheads is a Megadeth for something in that form or fashion.
Yeah.
So that's where he got the name Megadeth from.
Okay.
He just spelled it wrong. But till this day, well, maybe not to this day, a couple of years ago, he was still pissed at Metallica about how things went down and held it forever.
Wouldn't you be if you from afar were a founding member of this band and they grew into this larger-than-life thing that, is Metallica right now? And the entire time you're thinking, that could have been me. That could have been me making millions.
Yeah, he's talked
ended up
about
making
that.
a
It's
good
like
chunk of
held on
change.
to it.
But
it's crazy because you look back at it and did you watch Some Kind of Monster, the documentary about Metallica?
I have not seen it.
You should watch it. It came out in like 2004, I think it was. It's old. When I first watched it, I thought Metallica was being a bunch of whiny little bitches. I'm like, you can't get your S together. You're making all this kick-ass music. You're making all this money. You guys are on top. You're number one right now. Like, you are gods. Yeah. And you can't talk to each other? Bull. And then I watched it a couple months ago with my wife because she never watched it. And I'm looking at being 42, 43 now watching. I'm like, oh my God, I get it now. Life gets in the way and you got adult stuff you got to deal with and kids and your issues. And you got to worry about that dude's issues along with my issues. And everybody had like a little drug drinking problem at the time still. And it's like, God.
See, what surprises me is Hetfield kind of comes off as a hothead. Like when I watch the old Behind the Music or anything.
Oh, yeah.
About Metallica. He's very passionate about his band and stuff.
It's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time.
It seems like I could just see, just by watching the stuff about the band and about the early days, I could see how Hetfield and Mustaine would probably butt heads quite a bit creatively.
Yeah. What he talked about was him and Lars were the closest out of all of them. Like, they were like buddies and did everything together. The whole band together were really tight, but him and Lars were like inseparable. So he said, when you guys fired me, it hurt because I didn't have a family. I just had my mom, and that was it. I sold everything I had to be with you guys, and then you kicked me out before everything got good. Didn't say, hey, man, this is the problem. You got another chance to do it. Or, hey, you should probably fix this. She's like, no, get out. And that hurt for years and years and years. She said, I see you guys being all successful and making all this money. It wasn't even about the money. It's the fact that you guys, I felt like were doing better than me, even though he was doing pretty good on his own. He said, I always felt like you guys took all this stuff away from me, and it hurt. I was like, man, that's kind of deep.
You know, Metallica was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Dave Mustaine actually wasn't at the ceremony, right?
No, he was not. He said that first he thought the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame didn't want him there, then realized later that Metallica themselves didn't want him there. So they had like James and Lars and Kurt. Of course, Cliff wasn't there, but he was there in spirit, I guess you can say. Jason Newsted was there, which is weird because when we were inducted for MTV Icons, he wasn't there. They wouldn't allow him to show up because they just hired Robert Trujillo, who was there for when they got inducted for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, too.
The impression that I get, the things that I've read about Jason Newsted, is that the relationship whenever he got into the band was very like it was a younger brother. They hazed him a lot.
Yes.
And that never stopped. Like,
No.
that just continued, and he finally got sick of it one day. He's
Yeah.
like, screw this,
He said,
you know?
I'm done. They said that they hazed him because they were still getting over Cliff. He said he was in a bad situation at the wrong time, but we needed him because they just lost Cliff. They weren't over it, and they got this guy playing for them now, which they want Cliff there, but he's not there, so they took it out on him. So he was like the brunt of all their abuse. So he took it, and he took it, and he took it, and he took it. And then in the documentary, which you need to watch, Jason Newsted's in there for a minute, and he talks about why he left. He said, I couldn't deal with James telling him what to do. Like, he wanted to do a side project, which was Echo Brain, I think was the name of the band at the time. And he wouldn't allow him to do it. He said, why do I feel like I can't do what I want to go do? Whatever I do is not going to take away from the mighty machine of Metallica. Will never take its place. You will never, ever know he was in there. But James was like, no, if you're doing that, then you're not focusing on Metallica, and I can't have that. So he said the fact that he wanted control over me, I couldn't do it, so I bolted out. Jason just left the band, and they were trying to find a new bass player. Things were in between the band was going strong. Like, they were not getting along. They at the point to where everybody was getting on each other's nerves. Lars was having trouble with James because he kept feeling like he is controlling this band. It's suffocating him. Like, they had to do everything on his time. There was one point in the documentary which I thought was funny was James went off to rehab and was gone for a while, so they stopped recording everything. This was right when they were trying to record Saint Anger. And so they stopped. They all went out, did their separate ways, and just had some time for themselves. And then James got out of rehab. And he said, this is my deal. I can only work 4 hours a day. From noon until 4, that is it. After that, I'm going home, being with my family, and I'm not working.
Could you imagine having that schedule here?
Yeah, oh no.
Noon to 4, you're like,
yes.
We can only have remotes. We can only do promotions between the hours of noon and 4.
And that is it. Do not call me. Don't text me. Nothing. So like the first couple of weeks they were doing that. All of a sudden, James found out that they were still working past 4. He's like, what are you guys doing? He said, Lars was like, well, just because you can't work past 4 doesn't mean we have to stop at 4. We still have stuff we have to do, and things are grooving and sounding good, so we keep going. Well, you can't do that without me being here. You guys are listening to stuff, and I don't know what's going on. Well, that's not my fault. I mean, they're going back and forth about this. And there's one time where they have a psychiatrist with them, I guess, a therapist.
Okay.
And he's trying to get everybody to say their feelings. And there's one point...
Oh, a psychologist. So they're laying on the couch, and they're spilling out their...
Yes.
Okay.
And Lars is like, just goes into James's face and just says F, like F, I mean, just laying into him. And James is sitting there just taking it because he's like, I can't do this. You're telling me you're dictating how much I can work. It's not my fault you can't be here past 4. We have an album to finish. We are sounding good. Things are going great. There's a moment, I mean, he's going, which all makes sense. He's like, so I'm supposed to stop because you can't be here past 4?
It's pretty hilarious that he's trying to structure creativity. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
If you're on a roll roll, then you got to stay on the roll. You can't just be like, okay, we're going to be creative at this hour in the day. That doesn't work like that.
So the time they should have spent recording something, they were arguing the whole entire time. And it went past 4, of course.
Right.
So eventually he went past the 4 o'clock thing.
Was he like charging him overtime? Or?
He just felt like, you guys can't do anything without me being here. We don't work past 4. That is it. And they're like, no.
Like, we're going to write songs without a bass. It's just going to be a lot of medleys, some drums, and some loud vocals, and there's going to be no bass.
It's really good.
You know, Robert Trujillo.
Yeah.
He's got his 12-year-old son that's is playing bass as well. He's like following in his footsteps.
And he's pretty good,
filling
too.
in for Korn, which is
pretty good.
Freaking huge.
It's huge.
Hey. Have you seen videos of the 12-year-old kid like going to town?
I've
with the
seen
bass?
him. Whatever the name of his band is, I don't remember what it is. But I saw they were on some kind of morning show, a video of them early starting on, and he looks just like his dad when he's playing, just all over the place, and I got that scrunched over me over look mug, and he looks like just like ghoul, just ready to attack you while he's playing his bass. It's awesome. I have a question for you. What if things would have worked out? What if the boys said, all right, Dave, get your stuff together or you're going to have to kick you out? He's like, all right, cool. And he got his stuff together, became a good band member. He quit all the drug use and alcohol use, and he stayed in Metallica. Would Metallica still be as big as they are now?
See, I don't think they would be. Just my first initial reaction, I kind of like the way that things worked out because Kirk Hammett's pretty damn talented.
He is fantastic.
He's a lot better than Dave Mustaine.
Way better.
Dave Mustaine is great in his own right, but I think he's a better frontman than he is a lead guitarist.
I'll give you that one.
So, yeah, we probably wouldn't have Megadeth. That's a tough one. The way it is now, we have 2 awesome bands. Basically, we would have one semi-awesome band.
Semi-awesome band. Yeah, I would think because Kurt is way better guitarist than Dave, by far. Dave is a better writer than Kirk, by far. Maybe they would have all the going on all the time.
You wouldn't have the midleys.
You wouldn't.
You gotta have the midleys.
But they had them before, like back in the day. But Kurt is like a maestro when it comes to that stuff.
He is.
But Dave, I think, is such a force writing, and I think they would have been big, but not as money-making machine, huge stadium filled big as they are now.
I don't think they would have had the long-lasting career that Metallica has right now.
No.
Eventually, Dave Mustaine and James Hetfield would have butted heads to the point that the band would have broken up at some point.
At some point, they probably would have broken up. And there's another question I had for you. Dave stays in the band. Metallica is still Metallica. They're maybe not as big as they were are now. Since they're Megadeth's part of the final, the big 4, they're out because there's no Megadeth. Who's the 4th one now since Megadeth is gone?
Ooh, okay. Well, it'd have to be around that same time period.
They have to be started in the 80s.
So if you're talking about thrash metal.
Thrash metal in the 80s, still a band. I guess still a band now. Maybe not. Maybe a band now. I won't put that much limit on it.
Gosh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
The band that pops into my head, and I don't know if they started in the 80s, was Sepultura.
Yes, they did.
They would be the weak link of the 4 bands. I don't know.
Okay. I had Sepultura. Yeah. I had Testament. And I'm thinking maybe Pantera.
Well, okay.
They weren't really...
Pantera was like late 80s.
Late 80s.
I mean, I'll
say... still put in a category.
Yeah.
But maybe Pantera.
Yeah, I think, okay. If we're stretching the entire decade...
The whole decade. I'll let you have... Because there's only so much you can do.
I was just talking to DC, our boss guy up here, earlier this week, and we got into this discussion about Pantera. And I felt like it was cool whenever KMOD started playing Pantera because, Brady, you've lived here for a long time.
Yeah.
You're familiar with all the radio stations in this market. But nobody played Pantera. Nobody would even touch it.
No.
And that always boggled my mind growing up as a kid because, you would go to high school and everybody had their Pantera shirts on and whatnot. And people, at least in my high school, were, nuts about the band. And I feel like, they had a loyal following. Why wouldn't a radio station touch that band?
It's too scary.
It's too scary?
It's too scary. I can't. It's too scary.
You're badass. You go back and you listen to Pantera songs now.
They're like, okay.
Yeah. You're like, what's the big deal?
Not a big deal.
So hopefully you enjoyed the history lesson of Metallica, basically what we busted out into. But it was fun. 34 years ago, Dave Mustaine fired from Metallica. This is the Domkcast.
Tulsa's rock station, 97.5 KMOD.